Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I want to talk about the struggle between having a good life or pursuing greatness, and maybe even the chance that you can do both. So, it's a conflict that runs deep because in order to be great, you have to sacrifice a large part of your life. A portion that most people probably haven't even considered. I mean, if you look at people that are great at what they do, they're sometimes so obsessed with that activity that they don't even eat in certain periods. And me, I like food. I'm not quite sure I want to give that one up, but there is a part of me that desires to be great. But I don't know if it's worth it, you know? And anyone that's ever really chased greatness or considered it knows how much it really takes out of you. No longer do you get home from a day of work and unwind. You get home from a day of work and you continue to work. You know, that's what it takes to be great. Every waking hour, moving towards some ultimate goal, some ultimate purpose that either you decided or you believe God bestowed upon you, or maybe it's not belief, maybe God did bestow upon you a purpose. Who's to say, you know? But you can get by in life with far less than greatness. You can get by with average, but if you want a bit more of a rich life, you're gonna want to be above average. And that may sound difficult, and it depends on the mind frame you look at it in. I'm not talking about, physical attributes, because really they don't matter in the grand scheme of things. And you can talk about red pill or black pill or whatever pills there are now, and if you don't have perfect physical traits, then you'll never be above average. But that's just not true. We don't live in a barbaric society. It's the largest person doesn't walk in a room and get all the respect, and like if anyone disagrees with them, they beat them to death with their superior physical prowess. That's not how the world works. That's completely ridiculous. The world works off of competence, at least in this country, in the United States. Competence. How good are you at pushing results? Because we live in a capitalist society. We have rules, law and order that protect us from, any kind of physical bully in that sense. So really, the way to be, above average or successful is to be competent. And even better is that you can be competent at any number of things. There's so much to do. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You look at, people can make a job out of YouTube, which, you record videos and you bring competence that has nothing to do with physical attributes. So hopefully you're not stuck on that kind of mindset. And if you are, leave a comment. I'd love to make a whole video about that, truly. But the point I was trying to make is that if you want a rich life, you can get by on above average, and it doesn't actually take a whole lot to be above average. By definition, you have to be better than most people, but that's not actually that hard if you just commit to it. If you delete things from your life that have no use or have negative use, I think you'll find that you have much more time and energy than you thought you did. You can also multiply your energy by doing simple things like exercising and getting sleep. And you don't have to do it all at once. No one's asking you to carve out the mountain in one day. But if you chip a little bit out of the mountain every day, one day, you'll be left with a statue. And an above average life is great. I mean, in my eyes, an average life gives you enough money to carve out your sphere of influence. You can have a house in years. You're not going to get a job and get a house. It takes 10 to 15 years to do anything like that, especially if you're average. But you can go out to eat and not have to worry about paying bills. You're not worried about paying rent. You don't have the nicest car in the world, but you do have a running car. Something like a Corolla, a Civic that's reliable enough. You might even be able to afford a new car if you want, but everything is give or take, and that's up to you to decide if you want that. But that's my view of average. Is enough to have a family, and if both of you and your partner are average, you're making well enough to survive. As long as you don't spend your money in a stupid manner, or you don't live above your means. But to be above average, that's cherry on top. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be only about money. I think that money is super important as a tool. Really, it's for security, Money isn't about buying the nicest clothes or the most expensive car. Money is about buying high quality food without having to worry about it. Money is about having a place to live without having the stress about whether or not you're going to be able to live there any longer because you can't pay the rent. Money is about knowing if your car breaks down, you can fix it and get to work. Money is about security. It's the key that enables anyone to be independent. And that's so important because if you don't have someone to rely on, you're going to be homeless. And everyone's got to grow up at some point. Some people never have someone to rely on, and you hear those stories all the time, and people come from nothing. And that's very impressive. You see, sometimes those guys are stingy about money, and we know why, because they have to be secure. You can't go, if you don't have money, then you're not secure. So with an above average life, I suppose the way I define it is you have enough money to be more than secure. You're secure and you're not worried about it, and you can go buy things that you want. And that's easier than I think a lot of people make it out to be. And let me loop back to the greatness thing. I think that I would enjoy my life a lot more if I ditched this idea that I have to fulfill some ultimate purpose that will change the course of history, and if I don't, I'm a failure and I wasted my life. I only get one life, and I must invent time travel to, be considered worthy enough to be on the level of greats or whatever. And that's kind of unhealthy. I wake up and I'm stressed because I'm not doing enough, and I do something and it's not enough, and I'm still stressed, and I'll never be satisfied, ever. And then, if you fulfill that ultimate purpose, then what? You're still going to die. And maybe you realize that, instead of fulfilling that ultimate purpose that you thought was so important, you just wanted to drink coffee on the patio on a Sunday morning and listen to the birds sing. What about that? That's the funny thing about existence is that can have just as much, or if not more, meaning than inventing some great, mathematical model that will change the course of history. Looking at a painting can have as much meaning, in a present moment. Some of my most present moments in life had nothing to do with work or, leveling up. It had to do with being in the moment. I remember in my first apartment when I was in high school, I went out on the back porch to read and drink coffee, and that was just a really present and grounded experience. Very peaceful. I don't know if I've ever been so at peace. I could probably count the times on my hands in my life that I felt feelings like that. And maybe life's about that. Maybe life is about being in the moment, and it's not about, trying to live up to this idea that you think you have to live up to. No one's requiring you to kill yourself in order to live. That's insane. I think that maybe I got this idea from edits on the internet, trying to motivate you, but you keep watching these edits and these ideas eventually seep into the foundation of your mind and the foundation of your life. You start to believe these things that, if you're not on your grind 24/7, you're wasting your life and you're worth nothing. And people will only love you if you're the savior of the village or, the hero of the day. But way before any of that, I was the hero of my own life already. Every time I'd draw a picture, I was on an adventure, and I slayed these dragons to make this difficult picture come to life, and I looked at it and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed drawing it, and I enjoyed it after the fact, and I got lost in this world that that feeling I don't know if I've been able to recreate it. Maybe I am an artist at heart, and I used to love to make music and rap. In high school, I was a rapper, believe it or not. It was really fun, but I left it behind to be great, whatever that means, to pursue something more meaningful, more valuable, to milk my life and energy of its value for society. I don't think that's a way to live. I don't think it's healthy. And because it doesn't take so much energy and time to be above average, I'll have a lot left over, a lot of bandwidth left over after just having my life together to be able to enjoy it. I thought recently about skating because it's an exercise hobby that hopefully I can develop a group of friends around, and it's something that I can do at night rather than watch YouTube or Netflix all night. I can go out and skate for an hour or two, and I would have exercised, and it would have been relaxing. I would have been in the present. I can listen to music, But if I was so consumed about being great, then I wouldn't consider that, and I think it's a waste of time. But here's the thing. I convince myself every day that I'm going to get up and do this great thing that's great, and emphasize on that. It's worthy of purpose. It's worthy of getting out of bed. But I still wake up late, so is it really worthy of getting out of bed? And then I don't do it because I woke up late and I feel bad. And then I do things to numb my shame of not being great enough. And it ends up in this spiral where I'm guilty about not being who I want to be in terms of greatness, and then because it's so hard to live up to the standard of greatness, I'm never satisfied, and I'm always looking for a way to numb myself of, not making the bar that I set, unrealistically high. No one's asking me to do any of that. You know, I'm here, I'm alive, and I think I should enjoy that. I should go on a hike once in a while with friends, and I should take chances, go out to social events. I should do these things and not be so falsely obsessed with this idea that I'm working towards something great, because I'm not. I'm just hiding from enjoying my life. I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to keep it a bit shorter than last time. I rambled on for about 40 minutes in the last video, so hopefully this one's a bit more digestible. If you guys have, you know, a similar dilemma in your life, I'd love to hear about it. Maybe we can talk about it in a video. Leave a comment below, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching. Good luck to everybody, and see y'all later.